Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. Gosh, have we got a show for you this morning? It's going to be hit hard from the start because there's just so many opinions out there. Ex-players getting a lot of stick this morning. I'm going to talk about that. Ronaldo apparently wanting United to bring Zidane in. Conte waiting for a call from Manchester United. The spin from the training ground saying it's unfair that we're being criticised. We're working really hard. I tell you what, there's a lot of plates spinning around Old Trafford at the moment, but unfortunately it's a little bit like a Greek restaurant. Those plates are crashing to the ground and it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And it's games that will provide the salvage for Solskjaer, and then we've got some big games to come. But look, the first thing I want to say is loads to get into this morning. I want to talk about this Zidane story. I want to talk about this Conte story, but I feel that it would be wrong to hide this in the middle of the show. There is arguments going on in the fan base at the moment, and it's based at people like Gary Neville, Paul Scholes, Rio Ferdinand, right? Because basically they're being called out for being biased. What I think people are missing the point here is that Gary Neville has actually been quite critical of United's start to the season. I mean, how could you not be? He's even come out this morning and said, look, I'm never going to ask for a manager to be sacked. Ollie's my mate. I'm not going to call out a mate. Gary Neville frustrated me when the news came out that Man United were going to sack Mourinho, and he said it was a disgrace, and I thought it was right to sack Mourinho. So look, I will always respect Gary Neville as a player 100%, but you know, he is very firm on what he says, and I don't think I've ever heard of him for a manager to be sacked. So look, I think if you want Gary Neville to come out and say sack Ollie, I'm not saying sack Ollie. I've said if we lose against Liverpool on Sunday, for me he's got to go. So I'm not saying sack Ollie. So Gary Neville should not be getting criticised for that. I think the criticism is that he's openly admitted he's not going to go in on the manager much because it's his mate. And whilst he has gone into him to a certain extent, he's also said things like last night, a Europa League win, end of the season, Europa League win, FA Cup, top four is a good season. It's not a good season. You can't say that when Mourinho was here and you demanding he wins the title every year. You got Paul Scholes when Mourinho was here saying, we're Manchester United, you should be challenging for the league and the Champions League every year. If you are, if you're winning an FA Cup and finishing in the top four, that's what Arsenal do. We should be doing much better than we're doing. We've got the resources. We're the Barcelona, Real Madrid, PSG of England. And, that's the issue people are taking with ex-players at the moment. Rio Ferdinand said it yesterday. You know what? Give him the season. He's earned the right to get the season. This is the problem people have got. It's not that they're not being critical. They're just being tame. They're being very tame. And people can see through it. And I said last night on That's Football, the streets won't forget. They're pundits and they are not being true to themselves. And the reason people are getting frustrated with them is because they're good pundits and we've heard them be very unbiased about other United managers and other general things. But it's frustrating people because it's very obvious they're being very diluted because it's Solskjaer. And that's not right. That's not fair. That's not proper media. That's not proper opinion. And they're not being what they can be. Look, I think they're all very good pundits. I do. I think that, if this was Jermaine Genius or someone like that, this is a guy who sits there after the Super League protests and says, what are they moaning for? The Glazers spend money. On the BBC. On the night of the bloody protests at Old Trafford, he's there saying, why are they protesting? The Glazers have spent a lot of money. On the BBC, in front of millions of people. That's just shit punditry. That is not even asked to do your bloody, to do your homework. I think people like Gary Neville know exactly what's going on at Manchester United. They know exactly what the problem is, but he won't say it because Ollie's his mate, and he said that. And he'll go so far, but he won't go all the way. And the interesting thing here is that we know what they all said. We know what they all said about Mourinho because we lived it. They didn't like Mourinho and they went in on him. Let me just tell you something, because facts, not stats, facts sometimes tell the story. Right, here we go. I've said this many times before. Unfortunately, there is an echo between Solskjaer and Mourinho. Mourinho in his third year had finished second and went into a pivotal third year, but he didn't get backed in the summer. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer finished second and is going into his pivotal third year, but he's been backed massively. So straight away, that's a point to Ole. Mourinho did not get backed having finished second. Liverpool went and spent loads of money, and loads of teams went past us. Ole's been given Varane, Sancho and Ronaldo having finished second. Mourinho got nothing like that. But forget it, right? We're both going into this massive third season. After 8 games, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has not really played anybody that difficult, and he's taken 14 points. Jose Mourinho, after 8 games, hadn't really played anyone that difficult and took 13 points. At that point, people were demanding for him to be sacked. His 8th game was the Newcastle game, where the Daily Mirror said the day before he was getting sacked no matter what. Tell me we haven't fell off. Tell me the standards haven't dropped. A manager that is getting sacked if he doesn't beat Newcastle after 8 games. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, we're being told to give him a full year. And I'm not saying sack Ole. I'm saying let's see what happens against Liverpool. But what I'm saying is the standards have dropped because Mourinho was in exactly the same position, but he'd won trophies. He's playing exactly the same crap football. And I wanted Mourinho gone at the end. I'm not a hypocrite. I'm not saying, well, look, Mourinho should have got more time. Mourinho should have been sacked. But that's the whole point. The pressure on Ole should be huge. Absolutely huge. After 8 games, Mourinho had 13 points and people were demanding he got sacked after 3 years, even though he'd won trophies and finished second. Ole, after 8 games, is playing crap football with better players and he's got 1 point more. But the interesting thing is, Mourinho was sacked by Christmas. You know what happened in his next 3 games when he had 13 points after 8 games? He won 2 and he drew 1. Do you think Ole's going to win 2 and draw 1 against Spurs, Man City and Liverpool? I mean, this is the thing. The standards are dropping every season. And, you've got Paul Scholes in the Mourinho days saying United should be challenging for trophies. They should be doing this, and this. You've now got Gary Neville and Rio Ferdinand saying, give him the season. If we win the Europa League and get top 4, it's a successful season. The standards are being dropped by this timid, diluted approach. And that's what the fans are frustrated about. Because the fans of Manchester United, in the majority, are the same fans that saw us be that United, that won trophies, that challenged every year. And when Gary says, look, I don't think changing the manager makes a big difference. They've tried 2 world-class managers before. Ole's competing against 3 of the best managers in the world in Chelsea, Liverpool and Man City. Is that not the point, Gary? Is that not the point? You've just said that we're competing against 3 of the best managers in the world, but we're doing it with Solskjaer and co. Surely, if you bring the right manager in, and I'm not having Mourinho and Van Gaal as being a reason why we shouldn't bring another world-class manager in. They clearly didn't work, although they did win trophies, they didn't work. It's like the England thing. Well, we've tried the foreign approach with Capello and Eriksson. They were completely the wrong type of manager. They were pragmatic defensive foot managers, as were Van Gaal and Mourinho. What Manchester United, you can't say let's not get another world-class manager in because it failed twice before. Maybe it points at what Gary knows it points at, which is the board who are incompetent. They just don't know what suits Manchester United. That's where the real issues are. So look, I think that what people, I don't want to see this sort of let's fall out with our ex-legends or anything like that. I just think people are calling it out because their approach is very diluted. And you can't sit there when you've said, get Mourinho out, he's not good enough, as some of our ex-players have, and say, let's give Ole another season, he's earned the right. Talking about what Rio Ferdinand said yesterday, Ole's earned the right to get another season. Well, him and Mourinho have literally in the same position, same points, second place last year, same points after 8 games, same crap football, but Ole's had more money to spend. And you're saying give him till the end of the season, yet with Mourinho who's saying, well, this doesn't look very good, let's get him out. That's what people are talking about. It's the why are you giving 2 very different stories on it? And that's what people are talking about. It's the fact that they know that there's a bias. And we spoke about this on Sunday night. Like, at least if they acknowledge it, like Gary has this morning, he's my mate. Ultimately, Gary Neville's opinion is being diluted because his mate's in charge of United. He can't give an honest opinion because it's his mate, because it's emotional blackmail. And we all feel it. I've probably not gone in on Ole as much as I should do. You've probably not gone in on Ole as much as you should do, or the coaches, because it's emotional. Because I remember Ole Gunnar Solskjaer scoring that goal. I remember what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was like as a player. I know for a fact he's a really nice guy. There is emotional blackmail here, which is holding people back. You imagine if this was a Mourinho in charge, there would be uproar, absolute uproar. And the club have played an absolute blinder here. They really, really have. So look, I think it needs to stop. I think we need to I don't think ex-players should be asking for Solskjaer to be sacked. I think fans are frustrated by it because it's a very obvious lowering of the standards because they won't really say what they think, and maybe they believe it. Maybe they do believe it. Anyway, let's talk about the headlines. Mark, mate, hope you're well. If it happens or when it happens, who should be your choice? Surely the whole coaching setup has to go, says Bradley Anderson. I'm going to come back about the coaching setup because there was an interesting article from Andy Mitten in The Athletic today talking about how the coaches are really frustrated about being called Moments FC, and it's affecting their private lives, how hard they're working, and that they are good coaches. And look, I'll read you the quotes, but ultimately I don't care. Man works hard at job to try to be good when they're not very good. Oh, let's give him another contract. Ultimately, we've got eyes. You are bad coaches. You may be brilliant on the training ground and everyone might be running around laughing, but you are bad coaches. Norwich are going to get relegated. They have a style of football. They have an identity. Brentford have an identity. Crystal Palace last night have an identity, and Vieira's only just gone into the club. Ollie and his coaches have been there for 3 years. They've got no identity. We're crap and we're losing games. How can you spin that plate that we need some positivity around the coaches? Earn the right. Earn the right. Play good football. Win games of football, and people will respect your coaching. You cannot spin a plate of, let's be positive about the coaches, they are really good, when people have got eyes and are watching you week in, week out play absolutely dire, defensive, slow tempo, no chances created football. You can't spin that plate. You can try, but you can't tell us the coaches are good because they're judged on performance. If I'm an opera singer or a comedian, I could sing brilliantly all week. I could make everybody laugh behind the scenes. If I go on stage and I sing like a prat, or I tell jokes that aren't funny and I get booed, I'm not a good comedian and I'm not a good opera singer, no matter how good I do in practice. And this is the point. The standards are being lowered. We're being manipulated by bloody PR spin about how good our coaches are. Ollie's told us in press conferences, Ollie's told us he's got world-class coaches. Well, where are they then? Let them out the cupboard. Because they must be locked up in Carrington somewhere, because what we're being delivered isn't good enough. And this is not the Ollie Out show, and this is not the negative stand. This is a reaction to facts. We've taken 1 point from 9. We've taken 14 from 24. We're going to plummet down the league very soon. We've got massive games ahead of us. We've got no identity. We don't know what our best 11 is. We look a shambles. How is that negative? And we all wanted Mourinho sacked at this point in the season when he got sacked. And he had 1 point less than Ollie. And he went and won 2 of his next 3 and drew the 3rd. So, look, you don't tell me the standards aren't being lowered. Don't tell me it's like we're drinking some sort of poison where every year the standards get lowered and people go, it's fine, it's fine. Morning, Mark. Van Gaal used youth. Ollie doesn't give youth a chance. Ollie out, Conte enters, Mikel Roach. Well, that's a different topic. I don't disagree with it. I will not leave Ollie in, says Ollie Gunnar Solskjaer. So they work this hard to the point it's affecting their private life, yet the football is this bad. This PR actually makes it worse for them. I'll read you those quotes in a minute, but there's a lot of people here because Ronaldo wants Zidane and Kante waiting on United. So let's talk about these 2 stories. First one is coming in from I can't even pronounce it. It's the guy. I think it's a Spanish outlet with the guy who has the slicked back hair and was a meme in the summer. Is it Chingarito TV or something like that? Ultimately, Tia, in my opinion, it makes me want to cry tears. I don't believe this story. So Zidane has apparently been recommended to Manchester United by Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't believe this story. It's a headline this morning, but, and there is a big but, we spoke about this on the interview with Fabrizio Romano yesterday. Yesterday morning, I was speaking to somebody who does like a Real Madrid Twitter account, fan forum, whatever you want to call it. They were very good over the summer around Varane, etc. And we were exchanging DMs, and they said Zidane would take the Manchester United job if it was offered to him. He would love it because of Ronaldo, because of Zidane, because of Pogba, and because of Varane. So I put that to, obviously, Fabrizio, and he said, look, if Conte or Zidane got the call from Manchester United, I think they'd take the job. That's very speculative. I don't think Manchester United have made any calls to Zidane or Conte. I really, really don't. So look, at the end of the day, Ronaldo wants Zidane. Maybe he does. Maybe he does. We could end up in 10th place if we lose at the weekend, says Cardius. Well, Arsenal did us a favour by not winning last night, to be honest, because they can't go past us. But I mean, we're going to get this speculation. I said this yesterday. I think we will get the Pochettino article of last year where we were talking to Pochettino and it put a lot of pressure on Ollie. Realistically, they should be talking to Pochettino. If they were talking to Pochettino this time last year, which apparently they were, they should be talking to Zidane or Conte or someone by now, because this is the same manager a year on doing the same stuff with a better squad. So they should be having that chat. Personally, you know, if we lose to Liverpool on Sunday, I'm going to say he's got to go. He won't go, but that will be my opinion. He'll be very lucky to still be in a job after Liverpool if he loses. I hope if we do lose to Liverpool, we still go and win the league and he carries on, and I still want United to win every game. It's not like I'm going to get this idiot out of my club. I'm not going to do that with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I've got too much respect for him. I'm not going to say those words like that. But I will say Ollie out if we lose to Liverpool, because I think enough is enough, and you know, you can't take 1 point from 12. So in that sense, I would be talking to Zidane right now. I would be having that chat saying, look, hypothetical, if we make this move, would you be our manager? Because if he says no, and you've got nobody else to go to, you're in that massive problem where it's mid-October, you want to sack your manager, but you've got no one who can come in. You may as well stick with what you've got. But it becomes very, very difficult. So I think United should be having that chat with Zidane. I don't think they are. I don't think they're having that chat with anybody, but any decent business would see this situation for what it is. And I think that's why a lot of fans are frustrated. You've got ex-players who are saying give him the season, and you've got Manchester United owners who will be listening to those ex-players going, yeah, let's give him the season. And ultimately it comes down to the incompetence of the board again, doesn't it? Most of what goes wrong at United happens because of the Glazers and the people they appoint on the board. Let's be honest. I feel like this is what we talk about the end of every manager's cycle, but to be honest, we play dollops of dross and Ollie is out of his depth, says Ramon. Look, we've got fantastic players. We could play much better than we are. We should be beating Liverpool and Atalanta and, you know, Man City at home. And people laugh at that, but look at the players we've got. We should be doing that. But the players have got to take a long, hard look at themselves and look at what's best for them and what's best for Manchester United. And if they think the current coaching setup is what's best for Manchester United, then everybody needs to work together to get the best out of that. If they don't think this is the way to go, then they know what to do. And I'm not going to say those words because it sounds like, you know, sabotage or mercenary or whatever like that. But it's happened to Mourinho. It's happened loads of times at Chelsea. It's happened loads of times at loads of clubs, international and club football, for years and years and years. And those players know what they need to do. If they're behind the scenes, they know what's going on. They train with good coaches. They've come from coaches at good clubs. If this is not the level it needs to be, then they know what to do. And I'm not going to say what they need to do because you know what they need to do. And it's not about downing tools. It's about leaks to the media. It's about making people in that football club aware that change needs to happen. And that's what happens when you've got incompetence in charge. But I don't know what the players think. What I'm told is that the players are still firmly behind the manager. They're disappointed, but they're firmly behind the manager, which seems weird to me, the football we're playing. But all I want is for Manchester United to win games. If we go and win our next 10, we're in a title race. We're into the knockout stages of the Champions League. Is it unrealistic to say that Manchester United should be winning their next 10 games with the players we've got? My worst fear is that we're going to, you know, maybe draw with Liverpool, beat Atalanta, maybe beat Spurs, lose to City. Well, even if we did that, that would be 4 points from 12 in this little bit. That's not good enough. But you almost, you know, what Ollie tends to do is he'll get very close to being in trouble and then he'll pull a result out. And maybe another result, and then a bad result will happen and it will knock you back to here again. And then it's like, well, one more bad result he's got to go, but he'll pull a result out and another result out, and then a bad result will knock you back to here again. I don't want that to happen. I just want us to win. I want it to work. I want us to do well. And I want consistency, but we just can't do it. We can't find any consistency, and we've been waiting for that for 8 years, to be honest. We're 17th place in the pressing stats according to Talk Rubbish. If true, that is absolutely unforgivable in this talented team, says Clay S. And I can separate my love for Ollie the player and my hate for Ollie the manager. If Ollie truly wants the best for the club, then resign. It's simple, says Paul Neeson. Can I just say, I know we all get very emotional at this time, and I'm all for, you know, the contradiction. I've contradicted myself loads of times, but I put my hand up and say, at that time I thought that, at this time I think this. Look, I don't want Conte as manager, but I'm getting to the point, we'll talk about Conte in a minute, where if somebody said you can either have this coach or Conte, I'd probably have to say, look, let's go for Conte and I'll back him. I'm not quite at that point yet, but, you know, you'll find videos of me saying don't go anywhere near Conte, he's the wrong manager, but things change. Of course they do. Highly unlikely, but I would love for Donny van de Beek to be the player that helps bail Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out of this, says Hazard. Mate, I'm all for that. If Ole just goes, you know what, I'm going to give Donny 10 starts, I would be praying we started winning games. It might be the catalyst, but will he do it? Not a very good manager, not a very good style of play, and also stubborn. Maybe Donny van de Beek could be his saviour. Maybe if he said, Donny, I'm really sorry, I'm going to give you 10 starts no matter what, save my job. We'd all be up for that. And I wouldn't sit there in 10 games' time and go, Ollie, you're a fucking idiot. What an idiot. What an idiot you are. You got it wrong, he's proved you wrong. I'd be there going, you know what? The greatness of a man is somebody, or a woman, is somebody who can say, you know what, I got it wrong. And when I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. But I saw I got it wrong and I didn't keep making that mistake. I'm not here for Donny coming in the team and saying, ha, sit down, Ollie, you got it wrong. There will be some satisfaction inside because we've all said he should be given a chance. But, surely it's got to be worth throwing that dice. Surely it has. Because it can't get any worse. I mean, look, we're probably going to see McTominay and Fred for the next 2 games. We've been there. Maybe we do grind out a couple of results, but we know ultimately they're not good enough. We play McFred for the next few games. We might grind out a few results, but at some point we won't get where we need to be. We're just treading water. A proper bollocking from an ambitious manager like Conte is precisely what this group of comfortable losers needs, says Andre. If Zidane comes, he will be the only manager post for Ferguson to not have his hair turn grey after managing us, says Julian. We play moments football. Other teams have figured out that we don't have a cohesive strategy to beat them. They press, we capitulate, says Ramon. We're very easy to play against now. People don't fear us. So we either find a way of playing and improve or we sink. And that's the fact. Conte is a winner, Mark. We need a manager like him. He got winning mentality. Ronaldo, captain. Donny starts, says Mikael Roach. A bit off topic. Thoughts on Scholes saying Chelsea have the worst defence in the top 4, says Sabez. I think some of our ex-players are absolutely, they're destroying their... Well, they're not destroying their legacy. As footballers, they'll always have... Ollie's always going to be a legend for me. I don't care what anybody says. And obviously, Scholes is one of the best footballers I've ever seen. But I've always said this. Gascoigne's probably the best British talent I've ever seen in my lifetime. I wouldn't listen to him talk about football. It doesn't... genius in the feet doesn't mean genius in the brain. And I think... one of the great things about social media in general is that football fans can communicate and talk amongst each other and have very good debates about high lines and registers and pressing and, chance creation. You couldn't do that when I was growing up. You had to listen to Alan Hansen and people like that and Jimmy Hill. You don't have to now. And you can also call into question these pundits. And as I said, I don't put our ex-players on the level of some of the crap pundits we have to listen to, who don't even do their homework. But, some of them are talking, nonsense, as Roy Keane would say at the moment. Wouldn't be surprised if Carricky becomes caretaker for the rest of the season with Fletcher to join the coaching staff. Mates rate United, says MA. Well, there's a very good clip I heard from Samuel Luckhurst yesterday, who's chief correspondent at Manchester United. And look, he may not see eye to eye with fan content. I think he's quite arrogant about that. But I will acknowledge the fact that he is Manchester United chief correspondent. He has got good sources. And he does sometimes come out with something, some relevant points. He was saying yesterday that the Darren Fletcher thing is weird. Now, I've heard that Darren Fletcher is on the ascendancy at United, that actually they would even think about giving him the interim manager job if Ollie was removed. Now, I don't know whether there's any truth in that, but it's interesting that the Manchester Evening News were talking about this yesterday and said, what is Darren Fletcher's role at Manchester United? He's brought in as a technical director. Do you know any technical directors that's putting their boots on and training every day, running around with Ronaldo? No. Technical director's meant to be next director of football. He's not a coach. And this is Manchester United. So we've employed a technical director, but he's also doing some coaching as well. What does Mike Phelan do? This was what Samuel Luckhurst was saying. What does Mike Phelan do at Manchester United? Even 10 years ago when he was Sir Alex Ferguson's right man, he wasn't doing the coaching that people thought he was. What's he doing now? He doesn't coach. Ollie doesn't coach. So it's Carrick and McKenna who, might be good coaches, but ultimately it's not being replicated on the pitch. And it's a mess. It's a jobs for the boys and it's a mess. And that's the perception. And we'll come back to that in a minute. But I want to talk about... Geeky says, I don't think it's fair to say Ole out if we lose to Liverpool. They're a very strong side. If it was Newcastle, Villa, Leeds kind of team, then yeah. Mate, we've just lost to Villa. We've just lost to Villa, geeky stuff. The reason losing to Liverpool would make me say it's time for a change is because we're meant to be challenging for a title. Liverpool are challenging for a title. It's at Old Trafford, and we've got a fantastic team. It's the final nail for me. Like, we've already dropped crap points to crap teams. Liverpool would be it for me. That's just how I feel. 2 managers perfect for United. 1 manager's Liverpool, the other Leicester, says JV. And Mark, there are lots of rumours that United have called Zidane, says Alex. Well, those rumours would have to come from a credible source. I was speaking to Romano about this yesterday, and the stance is that United are not making any of those calls at the moment. So, look, the rumour is there, but I don't think it's very true at the moment. On Conte, Italian report said yesterday that Conte has been approached by Newcastle but doesn't want the job because he wants the Manchester United job and is waiting on a call from Manchester United. So Conte waiting on United, Conte close, Zidane close. The reality is where we're at the moment, and this is categorically the truth as of now, Manchester United are basically like this. Please, we're Hope FC. Please make this work. We need a miracle this week. We need a win against Atalanta and we need a win against Liverpool. And then we need to not lose to Spurs or City and just get us to that international break where, you know, we don't have to make a decision. They don't want to make a decision. They've just given a new contract to Phelan. They've given a new contract to Ollie. They're negotiating contracts with this coaching setup. They don't want to make a change. So there is no conversation going on with Zidane or Conte at the moment. The rumours are starting because, you know what? Everybody's got their head switched on. Manager does terrible job at Manchester United and is in the 3rd year. Managers had loads of money and we're out of a title race already. You know, we've all watched and consumed football for years and years and years. Whether it's FIFA, whether it's Football Manager, whether it's real life, Ollie should be under pressure. He should be under massive pressure. In fact, let me read you this quote actually. This basically is one of the best quotes. I got sent it last night. I thought I'm going to tweet this. It's fantastic, right? So this is from an ex-Manchester United player. When you sign up to manage Manchester United, you do not expect to come in and have it all your own way, especially if things are going wrong. You're going to be under intense scrutiny. Rio Ferdinand, 2018. Obviously, Mourinho was the coach then. Whether he'd want to say that now, I would hope that he would do. But that's absolutely spot on. There should be no guilt attached for calling out this current regime and what's going on at United at the moment. It's a shambles. And it's not good enough. Do you think not having Varane and playing unfit Maguire cost us the game? Otherwise we would have drawn, says Addy. Mate, we were shit against Leicester. I don't think we've got any right to be in the conversation about a draw. They absolutely battered us. We conceded 4 goals and David De Gea was man of the match. How can we even talk about a draw? No. I think we would have lost that game even with Varane. We lost it with Ronaldo. We lost it with Pogba. We lost it with Bruno. You know, we lost it with Rashford. We lost it with Greenwood. I think Varane, you can't keep searching for reasons why we're doing badly. We're doing badly because we're coached badly. It's as simple as that. Ollie signs Zidane as the new CDM. Rinse and repeat the Glazers way. Nothing will change the new manager. Glazers out, says Nemo. Hi Mark, play our best player and attack De Gea, Varane, Maguire, Shaw, Sancho, Donny, Fernandes, Pogba, Rashford, Cavani, Ronaldo in attack, says Duncan. And hi Mark, I've done my Atalanta preview by the way. It's well worth watching. It's on the homepage of this channel if you want to watch it after this. Very well worth watching because there has been a leak that United are going to a back 5. I don't agree with it. I think it's desperate. I think it's dangerous. And I will say this right now. Clip it up if you want. If we go to a back 5 under Ollie, sack him and get Conte in. Because he's the best manager in the world with a back 5. I don't want to see a back 5. I don't want to see Conte. But if Ollie's going to a back 5, that to me as an owner of the football club is he doesn't know what he's doing. He's desperately thrashing around trying to save his job. Ollie is a 4-2-3-1 man. If he goes to a back 5, he's completely wasted £74 million on a wide forward that I've bought him. Because you can't play a wide forward in a back 5. And he's trying to do a system that he never wanted to do. Well, I may as well sack him and get someone in who can do that straight away off the bat. So if we go to a back 5 tomorrow, for me, you may as well get Conte. But, you know, some people say you're being harsh. But why am I being harsh? I don't care whether it's Mourinho, Klopp or Pep. If any of those managers are on a bad run and they go to a back 5, that's a big admission that they're desperate. So you may as well get somebody in who can actually play a back 5 if that's what you want to do. Hi Mark, it's baffling how incompetent the board is that they're not able to judge when to give managers new contracts. Happened with Jose as well. Mate, above everything, and people don't like this because they'll say, well, they bought in Ronaldo, they bought in Varane, and they did. But above everything, there is incompetence at Manchester United. And, you know, that has always been the problem. And the problem is, even if they do figure out that they need to make a change at some point, Do you trust them to go and get another manager in? I mean, when you look at it, I was happy with Mourinho. I was happy with Van Gaal. And we're all geniuses in hindsight. But did they really fit United? What United need to do is get a Nagelsmann in or someone like that. They need to bring in a manager that is really exciting in the modern game, has a vision, is hungry, and has a style of football that suits the modern game. Not a has-been, not a Harry Hope. You know, somebody that's... They're not easy to find, that's the whole point, but it's Manchester United. You want a manager that is proven, hungry, and, you know, modern. And United have never gone and done that. Moyes wasn't, Mourinho wasn't, Van Gaal wasn't, and, well, Ollie got the job because he was an interim, didn't he? Anyway, let me read you some of these quotes that have come out this morning because it's really interesting. So this is from The Athletic via Andy Mitten. So it'll be well sourced, and what it says is, those who work with the Manchester United players on the training ground strongly refute, which means strongly disagree, there's a lack of style, strategy and coaching. It drives them mad what they see when they see false narratives developing about their work. I mean, so basically, let's pretend it's Carrick, right? I like Carrick, so let's pretend it's Carrick. So I'm not going to go too deep on him, although I will say I don't think he's doing a very good job, as much as I think he's one of the best CDMs we've ever had as a player. So Carrick and co are angry and refuse to accept that there's a lack of style, strategy and coaching, and that they're very angry that they see false narratives developing about their work. I mean, this is just one of the stupidest things I've read, and I've read a lot of stupid things over the last week. So United's coaches are denying that they're bad coaches and are angry that people say they're bad coaches. It's like me, you know, come round to Goldbridge's restaurant, right? And I'll serve you up a load of crap. Probably literally, I'm not a great chef. And when you all get on TripAdvisor and say he's absolutely rubbish, he couldn't cook a bloody piece of toast, and I come on the video in the morning and go, I refuse to accept that my cooking's crap. Even though there's loads of evidence, I refuse to accept my cooking is crap. They don't know what they're talking about. All 1,000 reviews, they've got no idea what they're talking about. I'm a very good cook, and even though everybody's saying I'm not, I am very good. I mean, this is terrible. This is really worrying that our coaches, who are terrible, are letting it be leaked out publicly that they're angry that fans think they're terrible, and it really frustrates them, and that they are good coaches. And yet the evidence of the Premier League, the evidence of all the games we've watched, and millions of people who don't think they're good, are wrong because they think they're good. I mean, it defies logic. It really defies logic that they think they're good because they think they're good. You're not good, lads. You're not good coaches. Because somebody might be telling you you're good. The players might be telling you you're good. But do you not watch games like Leicester and Villa and Villarreal and watch us get dominated week after week after week? That means Leicester's coaches are better than you. Villarreal's coaches are better than you. Villa's coaches are better than you. You haven't even played Liverpool yet. Like, you're not good coaches. I don't like to say it, but you're not good coaches because your job is to produce a team that plays good football with a distinct style and win games of football. That's your job. You might be a good Stevenage coach, but you're not a good Manchester United coach because ultimately everything you're working towards, like a ballet that's dress rehearsals for Christmas shows, who gives a toss what you're doing in dress rehearsals? It's what you do on the night that counts. And we're not performing. And if you don't like that, prove us wrong. Prove us wrong and you'll get applause. Look, I've always said this. I remember saying about Matic, he's a bag of cement, he's finished. And he was finished, and he was playing like a bag of cement. And then he went and had an amazing 6 months. And I was like, you know what? He's not proved me wrong, he's turned it around. And he deserves the credit. If United go and win, like I say, the next 10 games and play scintillating football, and Ronaldo's banging him in, and Rashford's banging him in, and Bruno's getting the assists, and Pogba's world class, and Maguire's got it on lockdown, I'm going to go, wow, what a turnaround. You can only applaud Ollie and the coaches. They've done a great job. Do you think there's a United fan out there that doesn't want to do that? There might be one or two who are just bitter and want to be proved right for whatever justification that gets them. I don't know what win that is. The win for me, and I'm sure the win for millions of you, is always going to be the satisfaction that Manchester United are performing and winning games. if these coaches can perform that miracle, great. What I would say is, why is it taking them 3 years to do it? But, it's not good enough, is it? Mark, do you think Ferguson could play a low-key part with the board in the changing of the manager? Well, you know what, Wayne? I don't like talking about Sir Alex because he deserves to retire. But do you think Sir Alex is going to be there saying sack Ollie? He isn't. Ollie is playing football manager with our club. It just doesn't work. The board have their puppets in play, not just with Ollie, but his friends in the media too, says Neil, the boss. The one thing I would agree with Rio and Gary Neville is that I don't see this club sacking him. I'm sorry. I just don't. You've got Sir Alex behind the scenes. You've got mates in the media, like you say. There's just no appetite. But as I said, if you've tuned in late, Jose Mourinho was in this position. Let me just read these super chats and I'll repeat that. I'm telling you right now, if he goes to a back five, he's going to start Lingard. He said he needs legs. He's obsessed with it, says Nate. We're just Disneyland, like Klopp says Red Baron. And we never need to sever the connection with the class of 92. Mike, thank you very much for the members club. Gary says Ollie is a club legend, his teammate and a nice guy, but he says nothing about how good his management is. Says everything about Ollie's suitability for a club of his magnitude. Well, I don't know whether he said that, Amy, but if he did say that he's a mate and he's a good guy and he's an ex-legend, so what? What does that do to help Manchester United? Like, that's the issue, Gary. What does that do? That explains why you won't go in on him, but what has ex-legend, mate and nice guy got to do with Manchester United winning trophies? There's literally nothing in there. It's like Ollie when he described Fred and McTominay as energy, trust and desire. What's that got to do with a footballer? Like, this is what I mean about lowering the standards. You're being emotionally blackmailed because you will not say what's best for United because we've got a legend in charge of the club. The Glazers have played a blinder and they're actually... people like Gary and Rio might think that, they're talking the truth and everything like that. They're actually just puppets to the Glazers. They've got them on a string, emotional strings, because they weren't speaking like this about Mourinho or Van Gaal. But now with Ollie, it's like, well, he's a mate. Give him till the end of the season. What if we lose at the weekend? 1 point from 12, out of a title race, definitely. Still got Man City to come. We saw what they said about Mourinho. Even if we lose, I'd be happy if we lose playing some good football, says Addy. Like the saying goes, friends don't always make the best of business partners, which is same like the coaching staff at Man United. Yeah, we haven't got excellence, we've got mates. Can we talk about how our wage structure is being destroyed right now? Everything right when Ollie took over has gone back to normal with the Glazers. Our club is dying, says Uzar. But what I was going to say is, please smash a like on the video, by the way. It's been a very intense show with lots to talk about. And we've got Ollie's press conference coming up at around 2 o'clock. We'll be reacting to that. I'm sure that's going to be very interesting. But what I was saying is, people want to go give him time. Remember 1989 under Sir Alex. There is no comparison with something that happened, 22 years ago, was it? I can't even do the maths. 30 years ago. 30 years ago, 1989. 32 years ago. Bloody hell. How can you compare that? No, it's not 30. It's 22, isn't it? I'm not that old. I'm trying to do the maths. No, it is 30. It's 2021. 2021 plus 11 is 32 years ago. Bloody hell, crap at maths. 32 years ago, my maths teacher's shouting, I told you he was thick. That's why I put him in the thick group. You can't call it that now, but it was when I was at school. And anyway, 32 years ago, we're trying to compare Ollie to. Why don't we compare Ollie to a Manchester United? If we want to compare Ollie to a manager 32 years ago who had already won a European trophy with Aberdeen and was a manager with a vision, let's compare Ollie to a manager 3 years ago. 3 years ago, Jose Mourinho had finished second in the league, not been backed in the summer, and went into a pivotal third season. 3 years later, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has had money to spend, finished second, and is going into a pivotal third season. After 8 games, Jose Mourinho had 13 points, and everybody from ex-players to media to fans wanted him to be sacked. 3 years later, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got 14 points, 1 more point. He's playing the same shit football, and the fans are unhappy, but the media are like, give him till the end of the season. Ex-players are saying, give him till the end of the season. Don't tell me standards haven't dropped. There's a mirror. 3 years ago, demand for a manager to be sacked. 3 years later, give him till the end of the season. Let's forget Ollie and Mourinho for a minute. I'm telling you, the standards of this football club are dropping year on year. Because if 3 years ago we wanted him sacked, the reason we wanted him sacked is he'd finished second, he'd won his Europa League trophy, and we felt we were dropping down, which we were. 3 years later, we've not won a trophy, We've come second. We've spent more money, but give him more time. Give him more time. The standards are dropped. And I'll repeat, Jose Mourinho, virtually the same points after 8 games that Ollie had. Virtually the same situation, playing the same football, having finished second. Mourinho went and drew and won his next 3. Ollie will be in a worse position in 3 games if he doesn't beat Liverpool and Spurs and draw with City. So, there we go. Mourinho lost the dressing room. Apples to oranges, says Jipak. But mate, you've just, thank you very much. You've literally just proved my point. Mourinho did lose the dressing room. Mourinho did lose more of the fan base. He lost the media and he lost the ex-players. He lost a lot more. That's my point. Standards have lowered. Ollie hasn't lost the dressing room. He hasn't lost ex-players. He hasn't lost all the media and he hasn't lost all of the fan base. Even I'm sat here saying, look, I'll see what happens after Liverpool. That's what I mean. I'm a victim of this as much as you are. And you think you're being clever saying, well, Mourinho this, Mourinho that. Mourinho was being bombarded from all angles. Ollie isn't, because the standards have dropped. Who's let the standards drop at this football club? Is it the fans? Is it the media? Is it the players? Is it the owners? For me, it's always the owners, but we've all played our part. The players, why are they not demanding more? Why are they all happy, smiling in training? 3 years ago you weren't. Ex-players, 3 years ago you weren't, but you're saying it's fine now. The media, 3 years ago you weren't, but you're saying it's now. The fans, 3 years ago we were all united. Mourinho needs to go. Not now. Standards have dropped. That's what I'm talking about, because this is a parallel universe to 3 years ago. Virtually the same. Everything. Both managers finish second. Both go into a pivotal third year. Both after 8 games have a terrible start. But the difference is, this is acceptable now, and it wasn't 3 years ago. And on top of that, Ollie had a massive summer of investment, and Mourinho didn't. Jay McCarrick is saying Ollie has done a good job, says V7 Squads. I'm not interested in these ex-players anymore. Unless they want to sit down and have a proper conversation, which they never will. They'll do it through tweets and stuff like that. I'm not interested. I don't think their opinion is any better than yours. And I never have. I respect them. I'd like to have a conversation with them. But I don't think they should be held up on a pedestal, especially when there's a very, very clear dilution of their opinion because they're protecting people. So that's my personal opinion on it. But which is why I like having Paul Ince on, because I can have a proper chat with him. It's why I'd like doing a podcast with Ben Foster, because I can have a proper chat with him. I respect them as footballers and they've got masses of knowledge and experience, but I want to have a chat with these people on a level, because I think too many times they come out with opinions that are no better than yours. And it's sad when those opinions are clearly diluted, because people look to these people for an unbiased opinion and we're not getting that. Everybody can be wrong. Everybody can be wrong. You'll find reams and reams and reams of me being wrong or chats from you being wrong. Everybody can be wrong. But what you don't want is, I don't mind being people being wrong, but I don't like people being... I'm not going to say that because I don't want to say that. That's sitting on the fence. What about Rodgers' style of play? Great recruitment, says Dave. And the worst bit about this saga is that there's no contingency plan post Ollie. The last thing we want is United getting a prat like Southgate on board. Oh, mate. If we get Southgate on board, it's the end of the United stand. So people will be begging for United stand for Southgate to come in. I can't do that. What about the reports that Ollie is unhappy that we didn't sign a central midfielder and United might give him 70 million January, says AJ. Well, you need to watch every show, AJ, because we spoke about this on the Romano interview yesterday. We did want a midfielder, but we decided not to get one. Don't give Ollie an excuse. He's had loads of money to spend. We will buy a midfielder at some point, but we decided not to get one. Simple as that. Anyway, what a show. Massive applause to you. The reality is there is a lot of frustration. There is a lot of passion. I hope we can win tomorrow. I hope we can beat Liverpool. I would always say that the best solution is not to sack Solskjaer. The best solution is stability. The best solution is the least upheaval. I want us to win. Do I believe that's going to happen? No. I don't think we're going to win the next 2 at all. But, we're here to be proved wrong, aren't we? And the reason I would say that is that even if you got your dream manager, whether it's Conte, Zidane, Ten Hag, whoever, it's very unlikely Zidane walks into the club and goes, this has got everything I want. If I walked into that job tomorrow, and I'm not anywhere near the level of a Zidane or Conte, but if you walked in tomorrow, what would you do? If I walked in tomorrow, there are 4 players never playing for United again. Not going to name them, but you can guess them. And I desperately need two midfielders. Like, I haven't got a holding midfielder. Matic is probably past it. I'm never going to use McTominay and Fred. And I'm probably going to lose Pogba unless I can get him to persuade to stay. But I need a holding midfielder, and I need it yesterday. That's just me. And I quite like this squad. Conte is going to come in and change a different formation. We're never going to use people like Sancho. So Zidane's going to come in and, obviously want his changes. So the best thing is stability. But you can't just... I feel that because Ollie's liked, and I'm talking in general here, because Ollie is liked, people want to lower the standards and go, oh, he's a nice guy, let's give him more time. Even though he's probably not good enough, let's give him more time. That's not best for Manchester United, is it? But look, we haven't got long to wait. As I said, if we had Norwich at the weekend, I'd be saying forget Ollie out talks, because we'll beat Norwich at the weekend. We've got Liverpool. If we beat Liverpool on Sunday, then something's good has had to happen, because they're a very good side. And that's got to be the aim, as well as tomorrow night. Anyway, we're going to be live at lunchtime for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference reaction. That's going to be very interesting. I'm just going to take a chill pill before that press conference and calm down and try and look at it pragmatically, because I think we're going to quite rightly be fed a load of spin. He's not going to come out there and talk honestly about what's going on. I agree, he's got to come out and spin positivity. That's the manager's job. Sir Alex used to do it as well. So let's look forward to see what happens with that. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. And as I said, don't go in on our ex-players. Our ex-players are legends as players. I'm not talking about Ollie here. I'm talking about some of the pundits. They are just diluting their opinion to protect their mates. That's disappointing. But I don't think they should be coming out saying Ollie out. I don't think they should be doing that, because they don't believe that. But I just think that their opinion is contradictory and hypocritical compared to what they speak about other managers. And, ultimately they've got big platforms with big voices. And when they're not speaking honestly about the situation, it doesn't help. I've not heard any of them go mad like they would do about Harry Maguire at the weekends being picked by Ollie and things like that, or tactics or anything like that. Or, the gap between the centre-backs and the forwards and the oceans of space in between that Leicester exploited. They're not talking about those things because they don't want to. They want to protect. And that's the frustration. Thanks for watching. I'll speak to you all in a bit.